Good afternoon. Round two. Refuah Shalema, Yehuda Chaim ben Esther Sarah. Refuah Shalema. And Leila Nishmat, William and Helen. Rochel Bas Yosef, David ben Abraham. Tzvi Dov ben Chaim Pesach. Yitzchak ben Sarah, Devorah Bas Yitzchak, Fred ben Richard. Avram ben Mordechai, David, Reuben ben Shmuel, Shoshana bas Elchanan, Shua ben Shmuel, Chana Golda bas Yisrael, Chaim ben Fega, Yaakov ben Yitzchak, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka, Rochel bas Yosef, Eliezer ben Yaakov, Chaim ben Gedalia, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka, Zalman Lei ben Moshe, Chaim Elia ben Yosef, Moshe Amichai ben Yaakov, Gedalia ben Tzvi, Ruvain, Leila Nishmatam. Today's shir is about Esther. Is sin a virtue? Esther was committing adultery. The Talmud Megillah 15 says that she was married to Mordechai, and she's having relations with the king. That's not proper, not kosher. But before we begin, our Prime Minister was questioned yesterday for 5 hours. 5 hours the police questioned him yesterday. Bibi, 5 hours on yesterday. Cigar Gate. Why is our Prime Minister like a Sefer Torah? Every week there's a new parsha. These two Hasidim were comparing their Rebbes. Hasidim like to boast and compare their Rebbes. One Chassid says, my Rebbe is a Malach no less. The other Chassid says, my Rebbe is no Malach, but he's no mensch either. Okay, should I quit while I'm ahead? All right, one more. This guy comes home from shul. All my stories are true, but some did not happen yet. This guy comes home from shul, very angry and upset. He had a big fight with the rabbi. Big fight. The rabbi insulted him. He says his wife, that's it. I've had enough with Jews and Judaism. I'm going to convert to Christianity. I'm going to go to the priest and I'm going to convert to Christianity. His wife said, what are you, crazy? He says, no, I'm serious. We have to become Christians. She says, you're crazy. I can't take Jews and Judaism anymore. And if you don't convert with me, I'll kill myself. She doesn't want her husband to kill himself, right? So they both got down to the priest, and the priest spritzes them. Spritz. And now they're Christians. Okay? They get spritzed, they're from a goyim now. From a goyim. This happens 2 weeks before Pesach. A week goes by, and the wife says, listen, I'm afraid the husband says, listen, I'm afraid I'm going to burn in hell. I had a dream last night. My father came to me, what are you, Mashigga, you're going to burn in hell? We'll go back to Judaism. So the wife says, can't you wait another 2 weeks before Pesach? What? Wait until after Pesach. Don't you get it? Okay, where were we? The Gemara in Megillah tells us that when Haman threw a lottery, the word Pura means lottery, it fell on Adar, he was very happy. Because he knew that Moshe Rabbeinu died in the month of Adar. But he didn't know, Yehuda, that what? He didn't know. Check Google. What do you mean, Moshe? He didn't know.
So was Esther.
Haman was very shrewd. What do you mean he knew that Moshe was born, died and died, didn't know he was born? I mean, you could check it out on Google. Said Meir Shapiro Zatzal. Haman was very shrewd. He knew Moshe Rabbeinu died, the month of Adar. With the death of Moshe, the end of Super Nisim. When Moshe died, the month stopped falling. No more magic clouds, no more Dan Quayle, the magic rock of Miriam. You know, when Miriam died, the well dried up and Moshe's chesed came back. And when he died, no more bear Miriam, no more man. So when Moshe died, that month, he figured it's a good month because all of the super miracles quit. He didn't know that Moshe was born in Adar. He knew Moshe was born in Adar, but he didn't know that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was born, Yechiel, how was he saved? How did he survive? Was that a supernatural miracle? No. He's floating down the river, And Batke Bas Paro just happened that day her jacuzzi broke. So she had to go down and take a bath in the river. Why couldn't the jacuzzi Moshe break yesterday? Dafke the day that little baby Moses is floating down the river, her jacuzzi doesn't work, she went to take a bath. So he didn't realize Moshe was saved, al pi what? Teva. And he was saved and brought up in the very house of the king that wanted to kill him. Just like Esther came into the house of the king who wanted to kill her and all the Jews. He didn't realize that Moshe Rabbeinu's birth was also like Megillat Esther. It looked like coinky dinkies. He didn't know that God has a sense of humor. Moshe Rabbeinu was saved by the very daughter of the king who wanted to kill him. And Esther became the queen in the very house of the king who wanted to kill not just her but all the Jewish people. How God works under the radar, that he didn't realize. The Megillah tells us, the Megillah tells us, the Megillah tells us that the Jews had light. After the Nes Purim, the Jews had light. So the Gemara in Megillah says, Ora zu Torah. When the Jews had light in the Megillah, chapter 8, it means the Jews had Torah. What does that mean? So Rav Kook explains. What does it mean? Shem or la Torah. Why is the Torah called what? Light. Hainu b'ma me'ira l'cholon kulai. The job of the Torah is to light up the whole world. You light up my life. You give me hope. I won't give up my day job. The job of the Torah is to light up the world, says Rav Kook. She'ikar pulas Yisrael al kol ha'olam b'mei Haman. All Sharol Kalafsei Oretz, the entire Persian Empire saw that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't leave his people, not even in Galut. Not even in Galut. And the Jewish people, says, went to Galut in order to attract Gerim. You Rav Kook is saying? That we should be a light unto the nations. So we had to go to Galut in order to attract Gerim. Isn't that incredible? And bring them back to the right path. So therefore the Torah is called the light. You light up my life. But now let's get to our shir. Is sin a virtue? Now let's remember that Esther was committing adultery. She was married to the king, and she's not the only one. Remember, Yehuda was seduced by Tamar. Remember that story? Yehuda was seduced by Tamar. Sisera, the Arafat of that day, was seduced by Yael, a married woman. Yael, Eshes Chever Akeni, seduced Sisera, and Esther seduced the king. Very bizarre, don't you think? These righteous women, Tamar, Yael was a shofetet. Look in the book of Judges. What business does she have seducing Arafat? And Esther was one of the Nevi'im, one of the 7 prophets, the lady prophets, Moshe. There were 48 men, 7 lady prophets. She goes and she seduces the king. So the Talmud calls it an Aveira Lishma. Don't try this at home. An Aveira Lishma. Sometimes you have to do a sin for God's sake, to save the Jewish people. If Yael would not have seduced Sisera, he would have come back with a bigger army and destroyed the Jewish people. If Esther would not have seduced the king, he and Haman would have destroyed the Jewish people. So this is called an Aveira Lishma. Where do women know how to do that? So according to the Zohar, something incredible. We know that the word ish, husband, has a yud. And the word isha, wife, has a hey. So the Gemara in Saita says, ish, the isha, shchina b'neim. Ish, husband, has a yud. Isha has a hey, yud and hey. In every Jewish marriage, there's a third partner there. Hashem, the yud and the hey. Because if you take away the yud and the hey from ish to isha, what do you have? Eish. Light my fire. Not good, right, Avi? But the Zohar says something incredible. You have to fasten your seatbelts for this, Evelyn. The Zohar says in the word ish, the yud is embedded in the middle. So the Zohar says that the power of a husband, of a man, is for inward thinking. A man can only think inside the box. Because the godly power of the yud in ish is where, Rabbi Abraham? In the middle. So a man, he can only think inside the box. But Isha, her godly power, the hay is outside. So therefore, a woman has a godly power, the bina yetera, to think outside the box, to resort to unconventional methods in order to save the Jewish people. The godly power, the hay of Isha, Yehuda, is outside. So therefore, these great Jewish heroines, Tamar, Yael, and Esther, did what seemed to be immoral. But they had to do it to save the Jewish people, and that power came from the hay, the godly power, at the end of the word Isha, which gives a woman the ability, Yechiel, to what? To think outside the box, to resort to unconventional methods to save the Jewish people. Now, is sin a virtue? If you look at source number 1, Vayikach Yisrael chotein Moshe Stipora Eshes Moshe Ashal Cheha. Yisrael took Moshe's wife after he sent her away. Pasuk Gimel. You have that? The source number 1, Gimel. The Shnei Boneha and her 2 sons, Asher Shema Echad Gershom. The name of one was Gershom, Ki Amar, because he said, Ger Ayiti Be'eretz Nechriya. I was a stranger in a strange land. Pasuk Dalid, V'shem, next word. V'shem Echad Eliezer. Now that's not proper Hebrew grammar. Ask any Ulpan teacher. If you say Shema Echad Gershom, you should have said V'shem Sheni Eliezer. Right? Ask any Ulpan teacher. Shema Echad Gershom, V'shem Sheni Eliezer. But it doesn't say that. Shema Echad Gershom, Ki Amar, because he said, I was a stranger, strange land, and the name of the other one, Eliezer, doesn't say Amar. Doesn't say Amar, because he said, Hilhei Avi Be'ezri. So the Targum Yonatan and the Medrash says something bizarre. Isn't it strange that Moshe does not mention God's name by his first son? You would think he would mention God's name by the first son. But no. Why is it delayed until the second son? So the Medrash says something bizarre, that Moshe Rabbeinu, in order to marry Zipporah, Yisro said, let's make a deal. If you want Zipporah, the condition is your firstborn son belongs to me in the Vatican, and the second son can be for your God. So therefore, Shema Echad Gershom Ki Amar. Yiddish, the first one, he doesn't mention God's name, because that's supposed to be Ger, an alien. Ki Amar, because he said, says the Baal HaTurim, I said, I was forced to make a deal. Ger Yisi Be'eretz Nechriya, I was an alien in an alien country. I was afraid that Yisrael would turn me into the KGB. Remember, he was a fugitive. So therefore, I had no choice. I made this lousy deal that I agreed to have my firstborn son, what? To be Avodah Zarah. And only the second son is what is called what? Eliezer, El Avi. Therefore, Shema Echad, not Shema Sheni. One for you and one for me. One for Avodah Zarah and one for what? Hashem. This is Moshe Rabbeinu, the Av HaNeviim.
Who's that?
This is Targum Yonasan and the Baal HaTurim. Targum Yonasan ben Azil and the Baal HaTurim says this, why he doesn't mention God's name until the second son, and why he says Ki Amar and not Shema Echad Ki Amar, and why Shema Echad not Shema Sheni. So he made this bizarre deal because he was afraid that otherwise Yisrael would turn him over to the KGB, who were looking for him. He was a fugitive in Mitzrayim, yes?
Did he say Ki Amar in the second one?
Because he's explaining, the Baal HaTurim says, Ki Amar, I said, I was a Eretz Nachriya. He's trying to make excuses for himself. The reason I made this bizarre deal, because I said I was a stranger in an alien country, and I felt I had no choice. Yisro had me over the barrel. This is Moshe Rabbeinu, despite allowing his son to be for Avodah Zarah, despite that, he became what? The lawgiver and the redeemer. Huh? Isn't that strange? Despite his sin, he did teshuva, right? He did teshuva, and yet the Targum and the Palaturim bring this down. That's pretty amazing. Now, so you see that because a person sins, doesn't knock him out of the box. It doesn't knock him out of the box at all. In fact, you can grow even greater after the sin than before the sin. How do I know that? This Torah reading, we read in the morning, we'll read again by Mincha time. After the Chet HaEgel, we're going to read the story of the Chet HaEgel now by Mincha, read in the morning too. God tells Moshe Rabbeinu, after the Chet HaEgel, when he forgave us, God said, I'm going to do something more marvelous than ever before. Parshas Kisisa, we're going to read it in 5 o'clock. So the Ramban says, what's more marvelous? This is after God split the Red Sea, after the giving of the Ten Commandments, after Dan Quayle and the Mun. And God said, you ain't seen nothing yet. What's more spectacular than splitting of the Red Sea and giving of the Torah? Says the Ramban, at the end of the parasha, Moshe comes down the mountain and the Shekhinah's on his face. You hear? That's even more marvelous than what? Splitting of the Red Sea and Kabbalah Torah. And that only happened if the Jews wouldn't have sinned with the golden calf. Think of it. The golden calf became a golden opportunity to do teshuva. When the Jews did teshuva, they gained. I'll tell you how they gained. Splitting of the Red Sea was one night. Kabbalah Torah, how long did it take God to speak the Ten Commandments, buddy? 45 minutes. How long did it take God to speak the Ten Commandments? An hour. Huh? But the Ramban says, after the Chet HaEgel, when Moshe got the second tablets, they saw the Shekhinah on Moshe's face not for 45 minutes. 40 years. 40 years they saw the Shekhinah on Moshe's face. Not one night, not one morning, but 40 years they saw the Shekhinah on his face. Bizarre. If the Jews wouldn't have sinned with the golden calf, they never would have gotten the second tablets. They never would have gotten the second tablets. They never would have seen Moshe's face with the Shekhinah. So Rav Taveitchik says that you see that sometimes sin can be a virtue. If you sin and you do teshuva, you become better than before. And the proof is this afternoon's reading. Rab Nachum. God says you ain't seen nothing yet. All the other miracles pale by comparison when you, Moshe, are going to come down the mountain with the second tablets after the golden calf, and the Shekhinah will be on Moshe's face, not for one afternoon or one night like at the Red Sea, but for what? 40 years. 40 years. Wow. There's a pasuk in Mishlei, Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'kam. The Tzadik will fall 7 times. Why is he called a Tzadik? Because he gets up. Mishlei. Said the Baal Shem Tov, that's not Pshat and pasuk. Only when a person falls 7 times. First he has to fall 7 times, and he keeps getting up. He doesn't become discouraged. Only then can he be called what? A tzaddik. That's pretty amazing. Sheva Yipol Tzaddik Mishlei. Only when you fall 7 times and you don't throw in the towel, you don't become, how do you say, yush, despair, then you're called a tzaddik. Now look at this idea. I made these copy the sources here. You go with them. It's amazing over here. It's amazing. Look at source number 3. Source number 3. Who built the golden calf? Yechiel. Who built the golden calf? Aaron. And yet look at source number 3. Moshe. Number 3. But Moshe Source number 3 is Dova Tziv Hashem Tasu. Hashem. Pasuk Zion. See Pasuk Zion? In source 3, Vayoyim Moshe Aaron Karav El Mizbeach. Aaron, come close to the Mizbeach, Vaseyas Chatascha. Bring your sin offering, V'chaper Ba'atcha. And atone for yourself, because Aaron had built what? The golden calf, and Ba'adam for the people. Look at Rashi, source number 4, Rabbi Abraham. See Rashi, source number 4, you would have that? Karav El Mizbeach. Moshe had to coax Aaron to what? Come close. Show you Aaron Bosh. Aaron was ashamed and humiliated. I built a golden calf discotheque. How can I approach the Mizbeach and do kapara? I'm such a sinner. Amalei Moshe, loma atabosh. Look at this Rashi. Why are you ashamed? Lekach necharta. Therefore you were chosen. Why were you chosen, Yechiel? Despite your sin? Or because of your sin. Hello, Goldie, you getting this? Look at Rashi. Rashi's Kodesh Kadoshim, Elelin. Again, Kravel Mizbeach, source number 4. Aaron Bosh, he was ashamed. He was afraid to approach the altar. I'm such a sinner. Without me, no golden calf disco. Amalei Moshe, lamata Bosh. Why are you ashamed? Lekachtem charta, you were chosen. Not despite your sin, perhaps because you sinned. And you did teshuva. Now you're better than before. Wow, what an idea. Look at Sfas Emet. You with me? Source number 5. You know Sfas Emet was, Abraham? The Gerrer, right? Sfas Emet, source number 5. V'chein asik krav al mizbeach. Lamata bosh. Why are you ashamed? The kach lavarta. Perish ki b'nei Yisrael hoyata b'bchir. V'lo yochal liyos kain gadol shem rak mitzray b'klal achet. The Jewish people were all guilty of the golden calf. Their Kohen Gadol can only be someone who also guilty. No goody two-shoes. It had to be Dafke, the big Kahuna had to be someone who himself guilty. Moshe Rabbeinu Nosalai, it's not slut. Moshe couldn't be the big Kahuna because he didn't sin with the golden calf. So he can't relate to what it means to be a sinner. It's only a person that sins and knows what it means. Only he can be the big kahuna. Buddy, if it wasn't for Aaron's sin, he wouldn't have been the big kahuna. Isn't that strange? With Tzadze and Nichshal, Moshe Rabbeinu was a tzaddik gomer. So he couldn't be the big kahuna. It's Dafka Aaron and not Moshe Rabbeinu. Since Aaron sinned, and therefore he knows what it means to fail, and he also knows what it means what? Not to give up. If at first you don't succeed, try again. So in a bizarre way, if Aaron would not have sinned, Sasemis is saying that he would not have been the big kahuna. Not a license to go and sin. Please don't get me wrong. We'll talk about that. Rav Soloveitchik points out something incredible. Fasten your seatbelt, Yechiel. First 10 commandments and the second 10 commandments. When were the second 10 commandments given? Yom Kippur. On Kippur, only after the Chet Egel. After. The words Laman Yitav Loch, it should be good for you, are not in the first commandments. They're only in the second commandments. Why is the words Laman Yitav Loch, it should be good for you, only on the second tablets? Deuteronomy chapter 5, after the golden calf. Rav Soloveitchik asked the question. Before the Jews sinned, they got the first tablets. Doesn't say it should be good for you. Dafka after they sinned. And they did teshuva, and God gave them the second tablets in Deuteronomy chapter 5 on Yom Kippur. Then the words Laman Yitav Loch are written. Why are they not written in the first 10 commandments? I might chop liver. Can you read the bottom there? Because, Yechiel, because of my handwriting. The golden calf became a golden opportunity for teshuva through love, which turns the sin into what? Say that again. So the sin became toiv. in a bizarre way, the sin becomes good. Because if you do teshuva me'ahava, that sin, what happens? Turns into a mitzvah. Isn't that mind-boggling? Erev Yom Kippur, Rav Levi Yitzchak Braditchev went over to the town Ganef. The town Ganef, a real bum, and he said, I envy you. He says, Rebbe, you envy me. You're the biggest tzaddik in the world. I'm a low-life bum Ganef. He says, I envy you. If you do teshuva me'ahava, all of your sins will what? Become mitzvahs. You'll be ahead of me. So the Ganef says, Rebbe, give him one more year. Don't you get it? Give me one more year. I have more averas to convert to what? To mitzvahs. Remember Rumpelstiltskin? You turn manure into gold. Is that what it is? No. Straw into gold. This is better. A Jew can take manure and turn it into gold. Moshe, it's mind-boggling. Tractate Yuma, page 86. Gedola tshuva ma'ahava, shezdonot naslo kitzchiyot. Yuma, page 86. Remember Johnny Yuma? Tractate Yuma, 86. Tshuva is so great. If you do tshuva because you love God, then all of your averot become what? Mitzvot. You know who says that? Rav Shimon ben Lakish. You can look it up. Yuma 86. Who is Shimon ben Lakish? The Talmud says he used to be Bugsy Siegel. Not a joke. He used to be Bugsy Siegel. It's not a joke. When Bugsy Siegel was assassinated in Las Vegas, so the widow said that to the rabbi, you have to say something at the funeral. You have to praise him. At the funeral, you praise everybody. So he says, what can I say? So he said, not only was he good to his mother, he never murdered anybody on Shabbos. Murder Incorporated knew not to call him until after Havdalah. And he kept Rabbeinu Tam's man. He kept Rabbeinu Tam's man, Evelyn. So he never murdered nobody until after Havdalah.
But he was very, very respectful.
To his mother. And he also supported the Irgun. So the Meir Land, the Talmud says that Shimon ben Lakish used to be Meir Lansky and Bugsy Siegel, and he did tshuva, and he became one of the greatest sages in the Talmud. So he says, look at me. Huh? If I can do it, you can do it. So you do tshuva me'ahava, then all of your averot become what? Mitzvah. So the sin becomes toiv. So therefore, Laman Yitav Lachichil is not in the first tablets. They didn't sin yet. It's only in the second tablets after they sinned. They did tshuva, so the sin itself become toiv. So therefore, the words, it'll be good for you is only what? In the second tablets after the golden calf discotheque. Now look at Rav Tzadok HaKohen. Side number 2. You with me? Side number 2, Rav Tzadok HaKohen. Hani Avera Lishma. Now don't try this at home. Side number 2. See what it says, Esther? Yes, Rav Tzadok HaKohen, side number 2, Esther. You have it, yeah?
Hang on.
Esther. Avera Lishma. What do you mean an Avera Lishma? Esther did a sin for God's sake. Shelishma ba'achra Avera. The chol avera l'shma hanu akarcho shadei ma'ashazu. What Esther did, yenola tov. If Esther would not have slept with the king, what would have happened? The Jewish people would have been annihilated. So her act of adultery turned out to be good, because that made the king lovey-dovey, and he made him what? Cancel the decree. So listen to this. The b'shas ma'aseh avera. So when Esther was sleeping with the king and a married woman, she was married to Mordechai. In Megillah says she was married to Mordechai. That's an Aveira. The gam mikoidim im kvar nolat hatov loma yavor achakach rak shemizeh yitzmach l'osed dover tov. So what's the dover tov? Avraham. Hang him high. Hold on, right? Remember, when Esther won the beauty contest, we read the Megillah in 40 minutes. It took 9 years after she won the beauty contest till Haman was safely swinging on the tree. 9 years. Connect the dots, you know? Connect the dots. Only looking back from hindsight do we see that not just Esther's life, but all of our lives are what? Jigsaw puzzle. It's a jigsaw puzzle. And there's so many different pieces. And sometimes we cannot connect the dots. But he is the planner. There is a plan. Things are always going according to plan. Not my plan, but his plan. Esther couldn't see it. Why me? You remember she said Psalm 22, Eli, Eli, lama zaftani. My God, why have you forsaken me? I won't give up my day job, don't worry. Okay? She never got an answer. Couldn't God figure another way to save the Jewish people? Now, Esther had free will. She could have refused. But what did Mordechai tell her, Yoel? If you refused, Revach v'hatzala yamoid la Yehudim b'mokam acher. Rescue and salvation will come to the Jewish people mimokom acher. Who's mokom? One of God's names. God will figure out another way. There has to be a plan B. Why have to be a plan B, Yechiel? Because Esther had free will to refuse. So God always has to have a plan B. But you are what? Finished. You can refuse. God will find another way. But you will be lost in the dustbin of Jewish history. That was her plan A. God had a plan B. She could have refused. Pretty interesting. So we see that plan B is also good. If plan A doesn't work out, there got to be a plan B. God has to have a plan B because we have free will to refuse. Look at source number 6. Just amazing. Source number 6. Bereshis Perik Aleph. You with me? Source number 6. Source number 6, Yud Aleph. God commanded that the earth should give out fruit trees where the bark tastes like the fruit. That's what it says. Source number 6, Yud Aleph. Mazriya zera eitz pri ose pri. That the tree, the bark should taste like the bite? No. The bark should taste like the fruit. You hear this? Did the tree listen? Huh? Did the tree listen? Look at Pasuk Yud Bet. V'atotza oretz desha eis mazriya zera meneu. Veitz osa pri shazara bali meneu. Vayar lim kitov. The earth didn't listen. Look at source number 7, Yechiel. Source number 7, Rashi says, source number 7, eitz pri, shatama eitz ketama pri. Source number 7, God commanded the earth that the taste of the tree should have the taste of the fruit. The fruit and the tree should taste the same. V'hi lo yastakain, and Mother Earth rebelled. Mother Earth rebelled. She said, forget about it. I don't want them eating my bark. Ella, Pasuk Yud Bet, V'toitz oretz eitz ose pri. The earth brought forth the tree bearing fruit, v'lo eitz pri, but the tree itself wouldn't what? Taste like the fruit. Lefikach, therefore, kesher eskal el Adam avona, when Adam was cursed for his sin, nifkeda gam hi alavona. The earth was also cursed, and it gave out thorns and thistles, or thistles and thorns. Huh? Thistles and thorns, right? So the question is, how could the earth rebel? Now, the Abarbanel tells us, Pi Kabbalah, that when you're looking at a starry night, you're looking at what? Bodies of angels. The earth, what makes the earth go round? There's an angel. What makes the stars go around the orbit? HaKadosh Baruch Hu works this world through malachim. Just like our neshama, to accomplish our tafkid, needs a vehicle. What's our vehicle called? The body. So angels also have missions to accomplish in this world, and their mission is accomplished by what? By animating the planets and the stars. Barbanella P. Kabbalah tells us that. So when the earth orbits, it's the malach animating. And all the planets that you see is actually bodies of angels. So the Zohar explains, before God created man, the entire creation had free will. The earth means the malach that animates the earth. God chooses to govern the universe through agents. What are the agents called? Malachim. But before man was created, these malachim also had free will to rebel. When man was created, says the Zohar, God took away free will from the rest of the Bria and left it only with what? With man, to see how special we are. So before man was created, the angel that animated the earth and made the things grow had free will, and therefore it rebelled. And yet, God says, Ki tov. Vayarelim ki tov. Why is it good? The earth rebelled. The angel animating the earth rebelled. And yet God says it's good. Why? It rebelled. What's the message? Plan B is also good. You know, plan A seldom works out, even for God. What's the message in life, Maddie? Plan B is oichid gut. And Rav Pam Zatzal, my Rebbe, would say, and sometimes it's supposed to be plan B. Now, plan A wasn't supposed to be a second tablets. As we said, the Shekhinah was not supposed to be on Moses' face. That's only plan B. So you see, Yechiel, that plan B is sometimes better than what? Than plan A. Right? Everybody fails in life. Who doesn't fail? You say, why this? It could have been. No. Sometimes plan C is the way it's supposed to be. What do you do after you fail? Do you throw in the towel or do you keep on trucking? Ah, Sarah. That's the question. The earth rebelled, and yet God said, Ki tov. It didn't work out the way I wanted. Oichet gut. Incredible. What?
Good thing there are only 22 letters.
Why?
Plan A, Plan B, Plan C.
That's right. Right? You run out of plans here, right? Now look at source number 8. Incredible source number 8. You with me? Source number 8. Talmud Bavli Masechta Chulin. Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hevi kapara alai f'nat hareach. Rosh Chodesh, God says, bring a sin offering for me because I diminished the moon. That's strange. Gemara, source number 8. Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hevi kapara alai. God says to the Jewish people, bring a kapara for me. Source number 8. Shemari Yareach, that I diminished the moon. Remember, the moon and the sun are supposed to be what? The same size, right? And God made the diminish the moon, and therefore what? God says, bring a kapara for me that I diminish the moon. What does that mean? V'hanid Omer Shimon ben Lakish, ma nishtana. A little early for ma nishtana, no? Ma nishtana, source number 8. Ma nishtana siyar shal chodesh chatas Hashem. It never says the words chatas Hashem except by Rosh Chodesh. What does chatas Hashem mean? A sin offering for God. What does God need a sin offering for? Say what? Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Are you reading this? So said, this goat, ye kapara, it'll be a sin offering for me that I diminish the moon. And therefore, by Rosh Chodesh is the only time where it says the word chatat Lashem, which literally means, Bainish, a sin offering for God. What does God need a sin offering for? God needs a sin offering? We have Yom Kippur once a year. But every Rosh Chodesh is what? It's God's Yom Kippur. Say what? And if God diminished the moon, why is he asking us for a kapara? Let him take it up with the moon. Says Rav Soloveitchik, remember, the Agada part of the Talmud speaks in metaphor. The Talmud consists of halacha and Agada. Only the halachic part of the Talmud must be taken literally. The Agada, like this Gemara, is a metaphor. Who taught us that metaphors in the Talmud, that the Agada is not to be taken literally? Who taught us that? Nachmanides. The disputation at Barcelona. Remember when he was debating Pablo Cristiani in the year 1265, I think it was? And Pablo was a apostate who knew Talmud. And he quoted them passages that the Mashiach came already. So what are you waiting for? J.C. Penney came already. So the Ramban laid down the rules then, followed by the Vilna Gaon and the Marsha, that the Agada part of the Talmud is not allowed to be taken literally. It's a metaphor. So this is not halacha, it's Agada. Says Rav Soloveitchik, who is the moon? Blue moon. Who's the sun and who's the moon in the metaphor here? Who's the sun? Obama. The Obama, the nations of the world, they're the sun, bold, brass, arrogant. Who's the moon? The Jewish people. We are the moon, covered in darkness, covered with the dark forces of evil. It looks like we're about to be swallowed up by the blackness. But we keep coming back. Therefore, we follow a lunar calendar. The nations of the world follow a solar calendar. That's the sun. We follow a lunar calendar because in this world we are covered in darkness. It looks like we're about to be swallowed up in darkness. But every Rosh Chodesh, what? We're the great comeback kid. We have the power to rejuvenate. That's the koyach of Chodesh or Chidush. What does Chodesh mean? A guten Chodesh. A good renewal. Chodesh comes from the word Chidush. Chodesh Chidush, a good renewal. Good Chodesh, good renewal. Any nation, a third of our people were massacred and destroyed. 3 years after Auschwitz, we come and we build the jewel of the Middle East. 3 years after Auschwitz, a Jewish state in 48. Where does that power, which nation can do that? That's the power of the moon, of Rosh Chodesh, of Chidush, the power to rejuvenate ourselves. But why do we have to suffer more than all the other nations? Why do we suffer with such evil forces of darkness? Why? It's a mystery. God says, I cannot tell you why, but please forgive me. You hear Rav Soloveitchik?
Where does he say that?
That's what the Gemara means in source number 8. When God says, bring a kapara for me, that I diminished the moon, it's a metaphor that I diminished you, Yidden. That in this world you are surrounded in darkness, the dark forces of evil, the abomination and all the other evil, and the John Balcaries. And even now Obama doesn't give up. He doesn't give up. Why do we suffer more than all the other nations? There's a plan. But God says, I cannot share it with you. But please, every Rosh Chodesh, Chatas Lashem. Isn't that incredible? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, please forgive me that I have to put you through hell in Auschwitz. I can't tell you why there's an Auschwitz and why there's terrorism. It's a mystery. But I ask you, bring a kapara, Chatas Lashem. So every Rosh Chodesh, says the Talmud, is actually God's Yom Kippur. That's pretty incredible. So the point is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us so much, he's willing to write about himself that what? That he also needs kapara. that he also needs kapara. Now, why did God allow Auschwitz? There are no Nevi'im today. People that give reasons it's not right. Only a Navi knows. There's no Nevi'im today. But I'll tell you something amazing. The rabbis are called sofrim. What does sofrim mean? Counters. The rabbis are called sofrim because they count the verses in the Torah scroll. If you count from Bereshis 1:1, the 5705 verse in the Torah, you don't believe me, you can count. From Genesis 1:1, you count the 5705 verse in the Torah. According to Kabbalah, every verse in the Torah corresponds to a calendar year. That means Mashiach has to come by the year 5845. How do I know that, Nechama? How many verses are there in the Torah scroll? 5845. Where are we now? 5775? 5777. So how many years is that? 5885. 5845. Who's good in math?
45 plus 20.
68.
78.
78 years, right? According to Kabbalah, Evelyn, every verse in the Torah and the Chumash corresponds to a year.
68. 68.
So that means Mashiach has to come
68.
in 68 years, because then we run out of verses. And every verse in the Sefer Torah corresponds to a calendar year. That's a given of Kabbalah.
What's in 5705?
5705 corresponds to the Lazi what? 1945.
48.
No, don't mix me up. 5705 corresponds to the secular year 1945. 5705. The 5705 verse in the Chumash. We said every verse in the Chumash corresponds to a calendar year. So the 5705 verse in the Chumash, which corresponds to the secular year 1945, when all of the horrors of the Holocaust were revealed, and people said, why? What does God answer? In Deuteronomy 29, Ha-nistorais Lashem Eloheinu. That's nistar. How do you say mystery in English? Nistar, the same word, Yechiel. English word mystery comes from the Hebrew nistar. That's a mystery. I cannot tell you why the Holocaust happened. That's a mystery. Only God knows why. So people want to give reasons. There are no Nevi'im. The 5705 verse in the Chumash corresponds to the year 1945, when the Holocaust was revealed in all of its horror, and people said, why? And Deuteronomy 29, that's the verse, Ha-nistorais Lashem Eloheinu. That's nistar, that's hidden. V'haniglois lo levaneinu. But what is for us to do? Lasot that called divrat Torah zot. Despite the Holocaust, we have to continue lasot that's called divrat Torah zot. Doesn't change the fact that we have to what? Continue to keep the Torah. Despite the horrors of the Holocaust. But it's amazing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kavayachol asked for what? For a kapara. For putting us through that. There is a plan, but God says, I cannot share it with you. Why not? Why not? Moshe, why not? I'll tell you why not. You ever try to describe sunrise, sunset to a person born blind? You ever try? Well, Elena, a person is born blind. Can you describe him a sunrise and a sunset? Goldie, can you? Why not? What? All the words that you say, it means nothing to him. That's what God told Job. While you're trapped in your bodysuit, I can't explain to you. It's like trying to explain a sunrise and a sunset to a person, Loyalenu, born blind. That's what God told Job. While a person is trapped in his bodysuit, God says, I just can't explain it to you. Only when a person is released, therefore a dead person, he was called a niftar. No, niftar means in Aramaic, it's actually an Aramaic word. Hebrew and Aramaic are sister language. Niftar means released. Only when the neshama is released, only then what? We'll know. There is a plan. We can't share it. So what we see here is that despite a person's sin, it's just amazing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the world and he destroyed it with the flood, right? And he started over. Starting over. Why tell me about it, Zisel? God could have began with Parshas Noach. Why did God have to tell me that he created the world? It didn't work out. He destroyed it and he started again. Why tell me that? Begin with Parshas Noach. You hear my question? Why tell me that God's work, Kaviyach, was a failure? It was a washout. Why tell me that? Says the Medrash. What, Sarah? It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. God says, look at me, Kavayachol. Didn't God know it's not going to work out? Why does God write about himself that his work was a washout? Literally, Avi, a washout. Why tell me about it? The Torah is not history, Torah is GPS. Says the Medrash, to teach if you fail in life, don't be too hard on yourself. God says, look at me. Didn't work out for me the first time either. I had to start over with what? With Noach. Plan B, Noach. Therefore, mankind is called B'nai Noach. Why is mankind called B'nai Noach? Why not B'nai Adam? Because Adam was a washout. Maddie, didn't work out. So therefore, God's starting over.
No, it wasn't a washout.
Noach wasn't a washout. B'nai Noach, right? The entire world are B'nai Noach, not B'nai Adam. Because God started over with Noach. And he wrote about himself that it didn't work out the first time. It was literally Sarah washout. So the message, says the Medrash Rabbah on this, is this, God is teaching us that it's okay to fail. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Now, getting back to Esther. May one commit adultery to save a life? Sarah, no. The 3 cardinal sins. You have to transgress the entire Torah to save a life except 3. And one of them is what? Adultery.
No, but she did.
She committed adultery to save the Jewish people. So is one life, 1,000,000 lives better than one life?
Can I ask you something?
What?
Thousands of years ago, when men went out to war,
Right.
they used to divorce their wives.
The days of King David. So the wife should not be an aguna.
Right. So why would Mordecai, knowing history,
Right.
not realizing what jeopardy she could be in, and not divorce her?
Beautiful. What's your name?
Gloria.
Gloria. Tractate Megillah, page 15. Tosfot asked the question. Vim Tomar, Amar Lahoya Megarsha. Why did Mordecai not divorce her? And then she would not be committing adultery. Yesh Loimar, Yehuda. Tosas Tezvav. Lefi Shakol Maisa Haget Al Pi Edim. Because when you divorce a woman, there has to be witnesses. It has to be publicized in the Jewish press that this woman is now divorced. V'hoya Mordechai Yoreh. What does that mean? He was afraid, pen yisparsim hadavar lamalchut. Perhaps the matter would become known to the king, and the king say, you married to my queen? So Mordechai didn't want to lose his head, so therefore he didn't divorce his wife, thereby allowing her to commit adultery. That's what Tosa says in Tractate Megillah, page 15. I know the kasha is much better than the teretz, right? But anyway,
Wait, Rabbi.
yes.
Maybe another.
Maybe that was that he thought he was marrying a maiden. You know that
No, he was an equal opportunity slob. He took married women too. It says noshim. It says betulot and it says noshim. He was not particular. So, right? He took married women too. But anyway, yes.
But also the fact is that would reveal that she was Jewish.
Why?
Because if it was known that she was
Married to Mordechai.
and Mordechai's a Jew,
Mordechai Yehudi. Okay.
so
All right.
he would be exposed.
Okay. So the Noida Yehuda, one of the great poskim in the 1700s, asked this question. He asked this question whether a woman can commit adultery to save not just her life, but to save the life of others. You hear? Now, he quotes a teshuva Bet Yaakov. He quotes a teshuva there. There was a group of men and women who went on a hike, and they were surrounded by bandits. You hear this? And they were about to kill her husband, and the whole group. And she was a very pretty woman, a married woman. And she began to flirt with the chief of the bandits. You hear this? She began to flirt with the chief of the bandits until she was able to sweet talk him that he would desire her. And he took her on the side of the road and they had marital relations. And therefore she saved not just her life, but the life of her husband and the life of the whole group. Did she do correctly or not? This is what the Noida Yehuda was asked. Now, he knows that what? That this woman can no longer remain with her husband. Because if a married woman has relations with another man, voluntarily she can no longer be with her husband. So the Noida Yehuda says that first of all, the husband has to what? Divorce her. But did she do right? So he says that she didn't do right. Because Gili Arayot, even if you're saving more than one life, you cannot transgress the 3 cardinal sins, no matter how many lives it takes to save. What about Esther, he says? What about Esther?
It was the whole people.
Who said that? The whole people, right? So you must have ESP, because first he wants to say that. He says about Esther, Shahoit lahatzalat klal Yisrael, Mahodu vat kush, vein lemeidin hatzalat yichidim mahatzalat klal Yisrael, minar vat zokein. You can't compare saving individuals than saving the life of an entire people. But he doesn't like that. Because the Rambam paskins, if Goyim surround a city and they say, hand over one Jew and we'll kill him, or we'll kill 1 million lo yaleni in the city, you're not allowed to hand over one person. Because we cannot put a value on life. Who says that these 1 million people, their blood is any redder than what? Than this one person. And this happened in the Vilna ghetto. The Nazis went to Jacob Gens. You can Google it. And they said, you don't hand over Yitzchak Wittenberg, we're going to destroy the entire Vilna ghetto. So Jacob Gens went to the rabbi in Vilna. He said, can we hang over Jacob Gens? He said, no. Showed him the halacha, that if the Goyim asked for one Jew to hand over, we'll kill him and we'll kill everybody. You're not allowed to hand over one person. Because the Rambam quotes the Talmud, who says that those 1 million people, their blood is any redder than, who can put a value on one life? You can't kill one person to save many. So therefore, first he said what this young lady said. He rejects that. And then he says, Harat Sha'ah. He says, don't try this at home. This was Harat Sha'ah. Mordechai and Esther were Nevi'im. And if a Navi tells you to commit adultery on a one-time basis, if a Navi says from now on commit adultery, he's a Navi Sheker. But if a Navi like Mordechai and Esther, they were both bona fide Nevi'im, they had a resume, they say to commit adultery, it's called Harat Sha'ah, and you're supposed to listen to the Navi. Like the Navi says, be Mechal Shabbos, or eat on Yom Kippur. If he's telling you B'Torah's Navi, and as long as he stresses Hara'at Sha'ah, how do you say that in English? Temporary injunction of a Torah law, you have to listen to him. So that's what the Noidei Yehuda says, that otherwise she would not be allowed, if it wasn't B'Torah's Nevuah, Hara'at Sha'ah of Mordechai, Bezdino, Baruch HaKodesh, she would not be allowed to do that, because one life in Jewish law is just as valuable as what? If you can't commit adultery to what? Save one life, you can't commit adultery to save what?
Okay.
To save what?
Rabbi Sprecher, what about
Right?
a child that's crying and will reveal a group of Jews to the Nazis?
Well, that's what happened.
So they said.
That's what happened. The Jews were hiding in a bunker. The Jews were hiding in a bunker, and a child began to cry. A child began to cry, and if it continued to cry, it would give away their... So one of the people smothered the child. So Mikim is asking, well, you're not allowed to kill one to save many. But there, the child had a din like a rodef, unfortunately. If someone is exposing you to acute danger, you can't kill one to save many, right? You can't kill one to save many. But if that one person is threatening you as a rodef, then you're permitted to kill him. So Le'aleinu, this baby, even though it didn't know anything, this baby had a din like a rodef. So the person that killed him went to the after the war to Rav Osheri, you know the Russian, and asked him for a kapara. So you don't need a kapara. Nebuch, this baby had a din like a rodef, and you were permitted to do it. Because if the baby was crying, it was threatening you, it has a din like a rodef. The question...
Not the classical rodef.
It's not.
But if you think he just said maybe...
Why are you allowed to kill the mother when the... What does the Rambam say? When the mother is pregnant and she's going through terrible labor pains. Why are you allowed to kill the baby to save the mother? Because the baby has a din like a rodef. But baby doesn't know anything. Right, Rabbi Abrams? Remember, the halacha is that you kill the ubar to save the mother, says the Rambam, because the mother has a din like a nirdaf. How do you say that in English? A nirdaf. Pursued, and the baby Nebuch has a din like a rodef, the pursuer. Right? But otherwise, you can't kill one to save many, unless the person has a din like what? A rodef. A person has a din like a rodef. Remember the book of Judges? Shimshon, when he killed the Plishtim, he came to hide out by the people of Yehuda. And what did people of Yehuda do to him? They handed him over to the PLO. So Rameh Simcha, or Sameach, asked the question, how dare the people of Yehuda? Shimshon was a fugitive. When he killed the Palestinians, the Plishtim, he came to hide out by the people of Yehuda. And the Philistines surrounded them, and they said, if you don't hand over Shimshon, we'll kill you all. So why? It's a good thing you came today. So you look in the book of Shoftim, the people of Yehuda handed him over to the Plishtim, saving their whole city. So Meir Simcha asked the question. We just said, Rabbi Abraham, that you what? You can't kill one to save many. Beautiful, Sarah. Says the or Sameach, Rameh Simcha, that Shimshon had a din like a rodef. After he killed out the Plishtim, and when he went there, he knew that he's threatening. What are you going there for? He's a rodef, right? The Plishtim are looking for him. By going there, he is making himself a rodef, and therefore the people of Yehuda had a right to what? Turn him over. Turn him over. Right? But if the person is not a rodef and he's not threatening you, then you're not allowed to hand him over, even to save many. Because who says that the blood of the many are more redder than what? Than the blood of this one person. But if a person's a rodef, he forfeits what? the right. If you're threatening me, the question, the Meir Simcha also asks, Yonah ben Amittai came to the sailors, right? He was threatening them. The sailor says, we're God-fearing people. So they threw him overboard. What right did they have to kill him to save themselves? Rabbi Simcha? They were God-fearing people. You can't kill one to save many. So how come they had a right to throw him overboard? Because he was a rodef. Rabbi Simcha says it. Amazing. He was a rodef. He went against God's command. God says, go prophesy to the people of Nineveh. If a Navi suppresses his nevuah, he's chayiv mitah. He's a fugitive from God. By coming on that ship, he is putting those sailors, what? In direct danger. And therefore, Rabbi Simcha says that the sailors had a right to throw him overboard, because you can kill the rodef in order to what? To save the nirdaf. We shouldn't know, but these stories, Nebuch in the Holocaust, there's stories like that. Do you remember the Bielski brothers? You remember Sophie's Choice? You know what happened? Remember Sophie's Choice? Nebuch. What? Mengele told her. What did he tell her? Choose between your son or your daughter. You hear? She said, I can't choose. So what did he say, Mengele? I'll kill them both. What would the halacha say there?
Kill both.
Who said that? Huh? You cannot decide. She chose the daughter over the son, or the other way around, the son over the daughter. But halacha would say that she can't do that. What? It's not up to us to choose, right? But anyway, Esther. If little girls today knew who Esther was, nobody would want to be Esther. I guarantee you. The most tragic figure in Jewish history, Esther, the tragic heroine. A nice Beis Yaakov girl, married to Mordechai, being taken to the king, committing adultery. And even after the king died, shortly after the Purim story, she could never go back to Mordechai. Because when she was sleeping with the king voluntarily, even when the king kicked the bucket, she could never go back to her husband. She had one son with Achashverosh, Darius II, who was Jewish by birth. But you look in the book of Nehemiah, in Ezra, he lived like his father. A drunken, licentious pagan king. Naches Nebuch. This righteous woman, Esther. Eli, Eli, lama zaftani, she said. This is what I deserve. Lost to my husband. Even when Achashverosh is dead, she can't go back to him because she slept voluntarily with the king, a married woman. And she had one son with him, Darius II, who was Jewish by birth, but who lived just like his father. So imagine the nachas that she had. No nachas. A tragic heroine. And she was such a righteous woman. We don't know God's plan. Therefore, God asked for a korban chatas l'Hashem every Rosh Chodesh for the Holocaust and all the tzoros that happened to us. There's a plan. But I can't tell you why. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol asked for a kapara, yes?
Doesn't it say in the Gemara that Esther slept with the king of the Jews like a
That's before she went, but kasher avadati. Rashi explains in Megillah, Reb Chaim Elio, Nivalti be'onis, ad achshav, until now she was taken by force. Va'achshav, mikan ve'elech medati. But now I'm going what? Free willingly. And she told her husband, I'm lost to you. The Eishes Yisrael Shenensa, Loyalenu, a married woman that is forced against her will, Muteres Labala. As long as she's taken against her will, Muteres Labala. Ubaratzain, but once she commits adultery willingly, like Esther is doing now, Asura Labala. She's forever forbidden to her husband, even after the king kicked the bucket. But God does have sense of humor. Koresh gave the command to build a second temple. Financial support, political support, but he died suddenly. Who took over? Achashverosh. Achashverosh took over. And he canceled the building. Right? So God gave him a son who what? Who not only okayed it, but politically and financially completed it. Because Achashverosh died shortly after what? The Purim story. How God works in mysterious ways. He lived long enough to give Esther a son, and then shortly after he died, so who ran the kingdom? Esther and the little baby Darius. And Mordechai, right? So Darius, even though he didn't live like a Jew, he gave his mother the Beis HaMikdash. He said, Ma, don't bother me. I'll give you the Beis HaMikdash, and let me go to my orgies. But he gave her the second temple. And I'll tell you something incredible. I wouldn't repeat this unless Rav Dov Shapiro, Zatzal, who passed away recently, a big Mukubal, says that Donald Trump is a Gilgal of Koresh. Of Koresh. Cyrus Vance. Remember, Koresh was a righteous Gentile who ruled the world at the time, and he authorized, encouraged the Jews to build a second temple. But he died suddenly. So this Rav Shapiro Zatzal, Mekubal, who died about a month ago, says that Donald Trump is a Gilgal of Koresh. Just like Koresh authorized and backed the building of the second temple, Donald Trump will authorize and back the building of the third temple. The third temple. Donald Trump. Trump Temple. Not Trump Tower. Trump Temple. Huh? You think it's bizarre? The first temple was built by Phoenicians. Shlomo Melech, 80,000 plus another 50,000 was built by non-Jews, Phoenicians, right? And the second temple was also built by what? Non-Jews, right? So by Shlishi also, Trump Temple. I mean Trump Tower. Trump Temple, Trump Tower. Thank you very much. We're going to dive in Mincha now. So Moyil, thank you.